Well, remember I've been having issues with the server being pretty much full. Here is the server. I'm not sure if I've actually ever shown you guys it. But I've resolved to fix that. There's something in that box. And it's very large. And inside the box, we have another box. Not very well secured there, guys. But that's fine. In case you haven't figured it out yet, although I already said server, that's another piece of the puzzle. I was halfway expecting another box, because I know it's double boxed originally. I did buy it used, so that may be part of it. But at least it's gotten smaller. We've gone from that to that to that. That's good. I was thinking it was going to be bigger for a second. Well, it's still decently large, but it should fit where I had planned. So we're going from 6 bays to 12 plus 4 SSD slots. So I'm going to put photos, music, things that I need to search quickly instead of having to try to search off the hard drive on those. So that's where these guys come in. I got 3 2TB Samsung 970 SSDs, 870 SSDs. Yeah, 870 Pro. I only need like 3 gig and some change, or 3TB and some change rather, for all the current photos and music I have. So that's still gonna give me almost 6, or 4 rather, for now. 6 total. But I figured I'd save the money and only get the 3 drives for right now. And then I have 4 new 20TB Seagate Exos drives. Again, I need a lot more than that. That's not even going to be all fitting all the stuff I have. But I figure I can start slowly moving stuff over. I still have 4 other 20TB in the other server. So I'm trying to decide if I want to take that server apart, use those drives over here, or if I want to leave it online as a backup. Haven't really decided yet. One thing I may do is I may, there's 2 22s in there and the rest of them are 20s. So I was thinking, as I go, maybe get some 22TB drives to put in there and start moving the 20s over to here as I need space. Still to be determined. But we're going to get this thing turned on, get into it, play with some of the settings, because it's got 2 different file modes I can use. It's got both ZFS and not ZFS. I'm probably going to go ZFS, or at least try to, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I should be fine on space for a while once I fully populate this thing, which is going to be a bit. Just going to add space as I need. It's more than double what I currently am topped out at. Plus I can expand it with additional chassis should I need to in the future. And I'm probably, based on the number of drives, it's a good bet I'm going to go double parity, at least at some point, once I get some more drives. But for right now, I'm probably just going to stick single parity. So yeah, basically what happened is, I got it used. Normally this one's been hovering on Amazon for about 18 and change, 1900, somewhere in there. I went used for 1400, 14 and change. Still way more than I wanted to pay on it, especially right now. We're doing better, but I do have a new job and things like that, which I'm not sure I've gone into. I'm going to check the kind of last video, kind of see where you guys are at in the story. I know I mentioned I left Speedway, but I'm not sure I ever mentioned what I got into. But in any event, so then for right before Prime Day, it dropped to like 13 and change. And I was hoping that they do this year what they did last time. Basically, I think it was the last Prime Day in fall, because they're doing it twice a year now or something, right? But anyway, so if you bought Amazon Renewed or the refurbished stuff, they would give you an extra 20% off. So I figured, well, hey, maybe that'll be the case here. So I checked on it on Prime Day. There was no mention of it. Nothing in the page for the store. No advertisement anywhere. So it's like, oh, well, you know, $1,300 is still a good deal. There's only the one. It's definitely a better deal than $1,800, $1,900. Let's go ahead and do it. Added it to the cart. 20% off. Another $275 off. So I got this thing for like $1,100. Good deal. Now I just have to hope that it actually works. It was actually supposed to be here yesterday, but because of that internet outage from that, you know, cyber security software, which is blanking on the name at the moment, but that whole thing delayed it a day, so it got here on Sunday, which is good because I'm still off from work. I actually don't work weekends on this job, at least so far. I'm starting actually training again on Monday, so I could have went down and actually grabbed it even if I was working. And they did say I was going to have to sign for it, but they didn't make me sign for it, so at least there's that. But so anyway, it's here. I can play with it today before I go back to work. And time to start throwing some drives in it. Well, I'm not sure I love these drive cages. They're alright, I guess. Kind of nicer on my other server, to be fair. But you gotta save money somewhere. Anyway, I'm only like loading these 4 and these 3. I wouldn't move this thing fully populated. It would be way heavier. Well, I guess I'd have to eventually, but I'm not gonna do that for now. Just want to get it powered up over here. So I can make sure everything's working. And I figured it was easy to put the drives in here. I do need to make sure it's actually going to fit in that corner of the desk. I hope it does, but I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to see. One drive left. For now. Well, it's on.
I can't use Cody right now, huh?
No, that should all be still fine. Well, there it is. I wasn't sure it was turning on for a minute, because I was flipping the switch in the back by the power cord, kind of forgetting it has a power button in the front. And it's got lights that I wasn't expecting. Didn't seem to come with a book, but it looks like the instructions on how to get into the portal are up there, so let's see what happens. Also on boot up, it was making some weird noises with the fans. Right now it's dead silent, but the fans are definitely doing some weird things. That's probably just, you know, they're probably running at full speed just for testing or something. This is totally livable with, quiet-wise. Well, I'm making progress, but they already kind of messed up. So when I calculated what all the non-video files were on the computer, or the existing server, it was like 3.2 terabytes. So I was thinking, you know, 2 terabyte SSD should be plenty. That should give me 4 terabytes of writable space. Gives me plenty of room to work with. Well, I should have paid more attention to the battery level. I was earlier, but then I forgot. Also need to find a bunch. I'm missing a charger and some batteries. It's probably downstairs or still packed in the luggage or something. Anyway, so I thought it was like, you know, 3.2 gig. I'll have 4 gig to play with. Or terabytes, sorry. No big deal. But, yeah, so I recalculated it. First of all, it's showing me that I got like 4.2 terabytes now. I must have not selected a folder or something. No, not necessarily all of that has to go on there. But on top of that, you know, I was forgetting that these aren't really 2 terabytes. They're probably, you know, 1.92 or 1.8 or whatever it is, plus system overhead, plus I'm reserving some information for, you know, drive longevity, stuff like that. So ultimately, I really only have like 3.46 to 3.29 terabytes. So it's probably not going to fit. And I still have an empty slot. So I guess I can get another one. They're only like $150 right now, something like that. 146, I think. I was saving it this way in case I decide to get like 4 terabytes later. But I think I'm just gonna go get another 2 and just because all the applications are installed in here too. So this thing has a whole crap load of applications that you can install. Yeah, music station, Plex, etc. I'm installing those to the SSD because obviously it's faster. So yeah, I think I need another SSD. Yeah, it's pretty irritating. You get 80 terabytes worth of drives, you put them in a NAS, and you end up with 49.6 terabytes. Now, I knew it was going to be closer to 60 because, you know, again, one's lost the parity. So, and then again, they're not really 20s, they're, you know, 18 point whatever or 19 point whatever. So you lose some there, and then again, file system overhead and some reserved space, things like that. So yeah, ends up at 49.6. The other server is 92. Pretty much 91 of it is full, a little bit more. So obviously the whole thing's not going to fit over there, and I knew that going in. You know, again, I'm going to slowly add drives and kind of migrate the important stuff. And, you know, spread out the cost a little bit is kind of the goal. But at least they have a start. Well, I moved it. It fits well in its new home. That old server may or may not be temporary there. Looks like I can still open the door. Yeah, I don't mind it. Plus it also gets my dolphin up high enough. They're going to be both running for now because it's going to take me weeks to copy the data over. Not to mention, not all of it's going to fit yet. So I'll need them both for the short term. I think ultimately the plan is to leave the other one as a mostly intact offline data backup until I decide I need that space anyway. I've had it less than 24 hours. I've already had to do my first expansion. So I got the other SSD in today. Good news about waiting is it only cost me like 77 bucks. Because I used like the $78 in rewards points that I've earned for the cashback through using my Amazon card. So I mean, not only did the server only cost me like $1,100, but I got 5% back on that, so it really cost me like just over $1,000. But thanks to advantages in QUTS Hero 5.1, you can now actually expand ZFS pools. So that's helpful, because that was like the one disadvantage to ZFS, and they've kind of taken it off. So I put the new SSD in. It's like 7:30 in the morning. You know, overnight delivery, Amazon, thank you. And it's already at 3.5%, and it just started like not even 5 minutes ago. So, being that it's only adding an extra 2 terabytes, and being that it's SSD, it should go relatively quickly. And then that pool should be done for a bit. It's estimating it'll give me about 5 or so, just over 5. And then I'll only need just over 4, so that should work out well for the foreseeable future. I like how the background of this changes color based on the time of day. That's pretty neat. So the expansion went fine. Didn't take very long, hour or so maybe, you know, hour maybe 2 at the top end. I don't even think it took that long. It went from like 55%, and the next thing I knew it was done. So that all worked great. So thank you, new version ZFS update with QNAP. Data's moving along. It's, you know, slow going. A lot of these files are small. We're talking hundreds of thousands of files. But it's, you know, most of the way done, I think. I did figure out where the 1 terabyte discrepancy came from. It went from like 3.2 to 4.2 because I included BitTorrent in the second round. So that wasn't a mistake, but that's fine because that's not going to go on the SSD. So I'll have some space, but this is still better because of the way I have the caching. You do lose, or more specifically because of the wear leveling, you lose 1 drive worth of performance. So now I have, you know, basically a 3 drive RAID instead of a 2 drive RAID as far as performance goes. So that is good, although I'm being capped by my 1 gig connection. That's kind of the other thing. I don't actually know if I mentioned it or not. The new NAS has dual 2.5 gig NICs, so I have a 2.5 gig switch and a 2.5 gig network card for my computer coming. So at least computer and NAS, I should be able to go 2.5 gig, and that will also potentially help. I can copy stuff, you know, from the computer through one interface, and then maybe copy from one NAS to the other on the other interface. So there'll be like maybe 2 gig of throughput to the thing, which will help speed this up. Otherwise, I'm going to be at this for weeks. But it's moving along. We're making some progress. Also in the background, I've already kind of started all of the, you know, new version NAS stuff. So I have it cataloging my music. I have it cataloging my photos with AI. So it's doing facial recognition. I have the movies actually being indexed in their media app. Of course, I'm probably going to do the same thing with Plex. This thing's got enough horsepower I can actually run Plex on this now. You know, like I said, I kind of choked out my old one. I'm still probably mostly going to use Kodi through the Shield. I might start checking out Jellyfin, because that should work on here, presumably. And then we'll have Plex. But Plex has been kind of not doing that great lately, so... There's one other one, too. I forget it offhand. But Jellyfin's been getting some good news, and it's, reviews, and it's been, you know, as far as I know, it's free, so... I think we'll check that out. But yeah, just chugging along. Alright, so yes, I did update you guys on the job. More or less. I haven't watched the newest video. Apparently I haven't put the Buttkicker video online yet. Pretty sure I filmed it. I don't know if I've edited it yet, but it's definitely not on YouTube. Or at least it's not live. I'll have to double check all that here in a minute. But the last thing you guys saw was I mentioned that I had the job, but I hadn't actually started yet. Well, spoiler alert, I did start. I started end of March. It is now mid-July. Towards the end of July. I just started my first set of up training. So basically they hire you for kind of like an entry-level thing, and then you migrate up to additional duties within the line of business, and so you eventually become tier 2. And each of those, or at least some of those other additional duties, come with a pay bump. So I was at 17, I think it was 33, 31, 33, something like that. The training that I'm in now, so 2 weeks of training, 2 weeks of nesting, that gives me almost $1. It takes me to 18 something. No one's really sure. I think it's 18.13. So that'd be nice. Get some more variety of phone calls. Get, you know, almost an extra $1 an hour. This is like, you know, 120 plus a month extra. So that'll be cool. And, you know, so far I like it. You know, there's a couple of customers that are challenging, but for the most part, it's a lot better than what I'm used to. It's way better than cable support. So why are we looking at hard drives? Well, remember I was talking about I had to offload some stuff from the other NAS because it was basically full. Speaking of, 1%. That's why I have the new server, because it's less than a terabyte, or just about a terabyte, and less than 1%. But when I was copying stuff off, so I like to keep it doubly redundant, right? Because it's no longer on a RAID array. So I have it backed up on OneDrive as a backup, and then I was trying to keep it on 2 other external, so it's on 3 drives. Well, these 2 8 terabyte externals from Seagate and this 1.5 terabyte from Western Digital all died. As I'm copying to them, they're working fine, they're chugging along, and then they just stopped responding. 2 of them went to local disk, they deleted their partitions, aren't recoverable, I can't format them, I can't do anything with them, they won't read, they won't format, IO errors. Same thing with the other one, that one's actually not even spinning up anymore. I mean, it tries, but it doesn't initialize. So, I mean, this one's pretty old. It's at least probably 15 at this point. It's only 1.5 terabytes, no big deal, really. The 2 8s are kind of ticking me off. There's no reason they should have died. They died within like a month of each other. And it's not like they've been heavily used. They've been sitting, you know, the back of the desk. Now they did migrate up from Florida, so maybe they didn't travel so well or something. But you know, they were fine. They were filling up just fine. One of them was like half full. The other, I think, was just had started, or maybe it was full. I don't remember. But either way, those are all dead drives. So this is the other reason I hadn't have to get stuff on the server. Also, these are pretty much all full now. So the new server is using ZFS, so it doesn't really have drive letters. So I'm having actually to map shared folders to specific things. So that space is not totally accurate. But you can see all the external drives, not C or D obviously, but everything else, they're all pretty much full. I have a little bit of space left on L for the files, music, and other, which is just basically getting overflow of everything else as I've been moving things around. Everything else is done. So I needed the space. I'm glad that's something I was able to do for a really good deal. I am putting 20s in there. So it's a 12 bay for 3.5 inch media. No, 5 1/4 media. But yeah, 5 1/4. I think. What are you guys? They're 3.5 inch internal drives. So I guess they're 3.5s. In any event. So those are 12 of those, and then there's the 4 2.5 inch SSDs. So those are now populated. I have 4 20s in there. I figured 20 is good enough. On the refurbed market, they're like $229 to $239, somewhere in that ballpark. I figure that's a good enough place to start, especially that there's 12 bays. That'll give me enough room to expand for a while, and then I can either start replacing those, although I probably won't. At that point, I'd probably just get an expansion chassis or something. I could add larger capacity drives as a separate pool, but then you have extra parity, and they don't, you know, it's not as clean, so I probably won't do that. 20 should hopefully keep coming down in price, and then when that's eventually full, hopefully many years from now, crossing fingers, then I can just add an expansion chassis and call it good. But that's the story. Working on the next folder to migrate over. This is second to last that's done for the SSD pool. There's one more folder that's going to go on the SSD, and then that's all backed up. That's all like my personal data, so documents, pictures, music, things I want to be able to access quickly, or more specifically, be able to search quickly. It's also nice that the NAS is indexing all of this stuff finally. But even a Windows search is going to be way faster on an SSD-based storage than a hard drive-based storage. I've only copied one directory of movies over to the hard drive portion of the NAS. Basically, movies number through A for not 4K. Movies are going to take forever, but I wanted to get the smaller files and the stuff that's going to be indexing over time, like the pictures and the music and stuff, kind of started. And then I figured I can do the movies and stages as we go from there. I'm also going to take the opportunity. I'm finally dumping the 4K directory. I have enough 4K movies at this point, and the life really doesn't care that much. We're just going to finally combine them into a single, just alphabetical movie list, regardless of resolution. So I'll have one copy of the movie on the server instead of, you know, sometimes 2 or 3. That's going to save up some space, which, you know, space is kind of a premium right now since I only have the basically 3 drives in there that are going to be capacity, since one's parity at the moment. So the more space I can kind of save, and some of those 1080s are, you know, pretty damn big, like Lord of the Rings is over 20K, you know, 20 megabytes, sorry, Jesus, 20 gigabytes. Abyss was, I think, 20 or 25. Not all of them are small. Some of them are pretty efficient, but so there's definitely some space to be had there. But yep, that's where we're at. Just wanted to let you know that these drives are dead and that job is going good. And moving on to the rest of the migration. And then I'm going to double check, see what's up with the Buttkicker video, because I can get that posted in the meantime at least. Alright, see you guys in a minute. Apparently there is no Buttkicker video. It goes from the end of the last video, which is technically the beginning, to the trip to Holland we took, and the riverboat video I took going out to the lake. So I guess I never actually videoed any part of the install beyond the kind of pre-wire. Not that there's really much to it. Or commented on my experiences or anything about that since then. So yes, I did get it. I did install it. Kind of did it the way that I had said we were going to. It's mounted to the couch, put an isolation system under it, ran the cable up to the snack cabinet. It's been working just fine ever since. It's been actually really a nice dynamic to movies. It's really giving me a lot more value than just adding the front towers. Most recent thing we just watched actually last night was I finally saw Mad Max Fury Road down there. It was pretty damn intense. Actually had to turn my subwoofers down for Into the Spider-Verse, which I'm mad. I didn't realize that was a two-parter for the new one. So now I gotta wait for the ending of that. And Super Mario Bros. It actually was a little too much. But yeah, it's been super fun. I'm not sure why I didn't film any of that. Dropped the ball, I guess. Again, not that there was really much to film. But we'll get down there and do some highlights at some point. Well, still chugging along. Got the last of the Amazon Prime Day stuff. 2.5 gigabit switch, 2.5 gigabit network adapter. Put this in before I took the bracket out of the computer, so I couldn't get the port in, so that was dumb. So I had to take the card back out, punch the bracket out, which is always annoying. The stupid metal frame of the computer was bending more than the bracket was. And then I got it installed. It works, kind of. I mean, Windows Network was never great. If I go off the SSD, it's pretty well sustained, you know, at pretty close to 2.5 gig speeds. From the internal hardware of the computer, it kind of starts out good and then falls off a cliff to low speeds. That's just Windows for you. And then, you know, going from the one NAS to the other, it's about where it was. Sometimes, you know, it creeps a little bit higher because there's headroom. And the nice thing is I can go do other things. So, you know, I ran a speed test and I hit like 2.25 there, doing a full speed transfer to the NAS plus, you know, the other transfer. So at least doing stuff with the computer isn't really slowing down my transfer. The problem is the source NAS is only got two 1 gigabit network ports. I don't have a smart switch, so I can't really truncate them or link aggregate them. No, with the current hardware I've tried, it doesn't seem to do anything different. I've tried various things through round robin and things like that, but seems like Windows will not allow you to have more than one connection to the same device with the same login credentials. So no matter what I do, it's only ever going to give me a 1 gig speed from the one server to the other server. And it has a couple of USB ports, but they're all USB 2. This thing's too old for USB 3. So I can't even use like a, you know, 2.5 gig or 5 gig or 10 gig network adapter either through USB. So it is what it is. It's just going to take forever, and, you know, I mean, I guess good news is I'm going to run out of space before I, you know, run out of time or anything. So you got about 37 free, using about 12 or so. On the movie portion, which is the hard drive portion, that's 420 terabytes in there at the moment. So it's making progress. You know, I got like A through C, or 1 through C, both in standard definition, 1080 and 4K. I've gone through C and deleted all the overlapping 1080 and lower files. So if I have a 4K, the 4K is the only thing on there, with the exception of a few where like the 1080 or the DVD is the extended version, the HD isn't, or the 4K isn't rather. So there's a couple that have multiple versions. You know, like Abyss, I have two 4Ks, you know, the standard and the special edition, just because. So, yeah, there's still some stuff on there. Working on the animated stuff now. We'll see how that goes. The other thing that's nice too is I can copy from the server to the other server, and then I can also copy from the computer to the server. So while I'm doing this other transition, as I download new stuff, legally obtain new stuff, then at least I can do that kind of simultaneously. So I'm not like having to wait or cut my transfer speeds in half. It's just kind of a pain. It's gonna be forever, but it is what it is. Rebuilds take a bunch of time too. I only have to do this once, for the most part. Although, now that I'm combining the 4Ks and the 1080s and whatever to a single directory, and deleting the extras, at some point I'm going to have to back up that directory structure to something. What I'm probably going to do is leave the individual files on the external hard drives like I have now, and just, I guess, mirror back the one server to the other server. Or more than likely what I'll do, instead of transferring the files, since they're already there, I'll just combine them on the other server too, and manually, make the same changes twice, so it's the same set of files. Because that's going to be way better. It's annoying and time consuming, but it's still less time than deleting and copying everything back over. That would be a double nightmare. But that's also a lower priority project. I want to start getting stuff on the new server so that I can switch all my media clients over to it to make that work better. New server is chugging along. All of the photo recognition and indexing is done outside of as I add. Oh, come on, GoPro. You still got 19% battery. Stop complaining. Anyway, so all the indexing and all that stuff's done. Right now, it's still working on thumbnail generation for my images. It's like 60% done at that for after 2 days. That's taking a long time for some reason. I'm not sure why that specifically is taking so long, but whatever. It's low priority. And I did install Plex. Plex runs on this thing like a champ. It basically instantaneously adds all the metadata, like the image and stuff, where the other one would take forever. Now, granted, I'm adding stuff, as I add to the library. It's not having to do all the collection at once, which helps. But it's fine. I mean, it's not slowing the thing down at all. Plenty of CPU speed. I can actually still browse and navigate. It's working so much better than the previous one. It's definitely got the horsepower. And then the other good thing with that is, or really with the only thing that's left, again, I'm still transferring files, so those will need to get kind of indexed as we go. But right now I'm running a background task to actually generate like chapter thumbnails and things like that. So at least they can work on that. And of course, all that stuff takes space too. But the other nice thing is all that metadata and all the images and stuff are going to the SSD, so it loads super fast too. When I'm pulling up the client, versus trying to chug through the hard drive. So having those SSDs on there are really good, not even just for the pictures and the music, but for the metadata and the applications running. So this is definitely working out well. It's a slow migration, but it'll be worth it in the end. Okay, come on, I'm almost done. You still got 19%. Quit bitching. But yeah, like I said, it'll be worth it in the end. I'll get more space in the long run. The stuff will run better. Now, granted, it still has plenty of free space, but I haven't had any transfer issues. I had 2 I/O errors for single files. Those files were corrupted. This is why we have backups. Neither of them were critical, and I was able to copy them off the backups, and the file was fine. It just got corrupted on the other server somehow. But yeah, I haven't had any actual like transfer issues where the network speeds drop to 0 and it crashes. So that's good. But again, it's nowhere near full. But anyway, it's going well, and then we'll just keep updating as we go. Anyway, this new training schedule is kicking my butt. It's making me work mornings. I'm not getting full sleep. I'm gonna go take a nap. Gonna take a nap before the wife gets home, because it's a weekend. We're both off this weekend, so I don't want to have to go to bed at midnight like I've been for training, because I gotta get up at like 7:30, 8:30 in the morning. So I'm going to take a quick nap for a couple hours so I can stay up late with her tonight and go back to kind of our normal schedule for the weekend. So, still chugging along. I'll work on stuff as I go. One last scary thing. So I was punching out the PCI bracket on the computer, and I didn't have a screwdriver up here, or at least I couldn't find it, so I wasn't really using the proper tools. I ended up using a box cutter. Silly me, I was using the wrong end, so I didn't realize that a piece of the blade actually chipped off. So I had a metal shard floating around in the computer. I think I got it out. I found one on the floor. I'm pretty sure it was the blade. Didn't really look the right shape, but turned on. Hasn't shorted anything out yet. Crossing fingers that it's fine. But yeah, that was kind of scary. Last thing I need is to upgrade my networking and then have the computer take a crap on me. So anyway, I'm taking a nap. See you guys later. So, fun fact, as I try not to get my work computer in frame because I'm not allowed to photograph it, buying used had an additional perk for me. Looks like my NAS came with a free upgrade. So it's supposed to come with 8 gig of regular memory. When I checked the hardware this morning, because Plex was acting up, I had to restart the whole NAS because I couldn't get the page. It was unresponsive. Turns out it's got a 16 gig ECC stick in there. Now, I know they opened up the case because first off, there's a screw missing from the chassis. But two, also one of the back planes for one of the back brackets for the PCI slot is missing. They have it in the box. It just wasn't installed. They probably had some sort of card in there. Kind of wish they had left that too. But yeah, so it looks like they swapped out the 8 gig and put a 16 in there. So hey, free memory, and it went from regular to ECC. Which I'm glad for, because when I had the thing running the image recognition and the indexing and all the stuff kind of at the same time, and I also had inline deduplication going when I was copying at that point, because it was, music and pictures, stuff that I know I have copies of, or duplicate copies anyway. I did max out the RAM a couple times, or at least very close. It went to like 99, 98, 87, more than once. So that would have taken a lot longer, and or not have even worked if it came with the 8. 16 seems like it's good. It's doing a lot of extra hard work now, because it's building thumbnails for things and everything else. There's a lot of background tasks going on. Plex is doing its thing again about generating chapter thumbnails and everything else. So once the NAS is just in normal operation, I think the 16 is going to be plenty. I don't really think I need to go in and upgrade that, although having dual sticks versus one stick would be nice. But yeah, thanks for the free memory, guys. That's a couple bucks worth of extra stuff for paying less. I mean, I paid basically half price for this thing. Less than half if you consider the original launch price. I think it launched at like $2,600 US, but I only added it to my cart, and it was about $1,800 and change. So yeah, good on me. That's pretty useful. Beyond that, I actually was digging around in the settings. I did find out how to enable multi-channel SMB. It was a check mark in the QNAP software. That's not really going to address my problem though, because it's still not going to be multi-channel to the Netgear Readynas. That's, ignore that video please. You did not see any chat over there. But yeah, the old Readynas, even though it's got dual 1 gig NICs, that software is ancient, hasn't been updated in over a decade probably. At least pretty close to that, maybe 8 years, something like that. So that's really the bottleneck, is the 1 gig link from there, and it doesn't seem to be using both in any kind of meaningful way to this computer. It is helping in that it can saturate that 1 gig connection transferring to this computer, and I'm assuming the other devices in the house, I haven't had any video performance issues or anything watching videos anywhere else, is going to use the other NIC. But it's not really helping me move the files any faster over. So just have to deal with it. It's going to take its time. Drive is about 1/3 of the way full anyway. Somewhere around there. Yeah, pretty close to 1/3. So this is only going to be a thing for so much longer before I'm going to have to stop anyway. Kind of glad I'm in training, because I can actually kind of keep the other computer on and switch monitors back and forth. keep an eye on what it's doing. I'm doing them in batches for a couple of reasons, just to kind of keep it organized. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to stop, and so I'm not just fully overloading the thing. Also, you know, committing to a multi-day transfer in Windows isn't generally a good idea, so I like keeping it, you know, to 2 to 8 hours between. I'm doing the 4K for one of the directories as it is, was like 24 hours. But, you know, fortunately you can pause sessions, because I've been screwing around with the network settings, so a few times the connection dropped. So Windows is actually pretty good about kind of covering up or recovering those sessions. And I know there's other file transfer protocols and things. You know, the Windows File Manager is not ideal, but it's not really stuff I'm familiar with, and I don't really want to mess with it. I did try going network attached storage to network attached storage. You can actually mount an SMB drive to the QNAP directly, and then use its file manager to go NAS to NAS, which at least would give me a secondary link in theory. But I couldn't get it to work. I tried a bunch of different settings, none of them seemed to communicate or cooperate. So I don't know if they're just incompatible for some reason, or it's probably a password or permission issue or something stupid. But I wasn't able to resolve it, so it is what it is. I'll just do it the slow way. It's fine. Anyway, that's it for now. Break's about over. I gotta get back to work. Also, I was confused yesterday. It is not the weekend. It was only Wednesday. Not sure why my brain decided to think it was suddenly Friday. Kinda wish it was. But nope. Today and tomorrow. And then I can take the extended nap and go back to the normal schedule for the weekend. Anyway, that's about it for now. Well, I'm just over 50% used. So I got another like $77 in dollars in Amazon. Went ahead and this morning ordered another 20 terabyte hard drive to bring me up to 5 drives. So I'll have 4 for capacity, 1 for parity. So that'll give me a little more wiggle room. That should be able to fit most, if not all, of the movies on there. And I'm probably just not going to move over the TV shows or the music videos and stuff yet. We'll see how much space I end up with once all the movies are over. And then maybe I'll move over some of the stuff like the concerts. To be determined. But up to 5 drives now. Well, we're getting there. It's been about 4 days, give or take, a couple extra hours, so 4 and some change. We're at 76.2%. I'm hoping when it hits 80, it'll just finish, because that's about how much space is being used. There's about 20% free, but I don't know for sure. I've kind of stopped transferring stuff to it because I'm down to about 8 terabytes free on the volume. And I'm pretty sure the more information that's there, the longer this is going to take. And I'm going to run out of space before this finishes if I keep transferring. So I haven't transferred anything to it in about a day. Stopped the mass transfers sometime yesterday about. I'm at 4K through M and like regular through O. So we're getting there. I think just the movies are going to fit once it expands, and then maybe a couple extra categories. You know, throw Christmas on there, throw some music videos on there maybe. And then I'll probably just have to keep the TVs, documentaries, and auxiliary stuff on the other server until I can pony up some more hard drives for this thing. But, you know, everything wants my money lately, because MadVR just announced their new core product. It's going to be $6,000. Right now it's at $5,000 at launch. It does basically everything the big one does. You know, up to 4K, which is all I really care about. It's really hard not to throw some money down on that right now, but it's really hard to justify too. Like, if I had it, it'd be totally worth it, but I'm trying to get out of debt. Not keep adding more debt. And I just threw a $3,000 server and hard drives on my card, so it's not good timing, but I definitely applaud the effort. This is way more useful than the half price drop of the Kaleidoscape. It's still overpriced for what it is. It's essentially a media player, and you know, instead of putting a small SSD in there, they could have just as easily put a larger hard drive and kept the same cost or lower. It's too limited with the amount of movies you can store on it. Still at that price point. I'll keep doing what I'm doing for now. Maybe someday down. I was really almost done. maybe someday down the road when I build the money as no object theater and I, win the lottery or whatever, then I can invest in Kaleidoscape and a huge movie library. But for now, we're going to be doing it the DIY method. Anyway, that's about it for now. So I think this is where we're going to call it. The server is done syncing. It's been done for a bit. I managed to get all the movies on there, including Christmas and a couple other things like my shows and my mini-series. And it took the movie directory down to 2.87 or 2.97 terabytes. Not ideal. I wish I had a little more space, especially as I go through and kind of start the upgrade process kind of officially on some of the older like DVD resolution stuff I have. I've been replacing stuff as I go, as I see things come out, largely with 4K, or if I see like a special edition or something come out, or a movie that I really like that I notice is in pretty poor quality. But pretty soon here I'm actually going to go through file by file and just try to upgrade everything that's available, at least, which will take a minute and will take some space. Kind of done spending money at the moment. I would love to get some more hard drives in here so I can give this thing some room to breathe. That isn't a totally accurate estimate. I did change some settings, so I'm down to I think 4 or 5% reserved space. So that's above and beyond the actual free space. So that's closer to like 5.5 terabytes free, just for performance reasons. But as far as actual like usable space, it's getting pretty tight. The media drive, basically the SSD side of things is fine. Got plenty of space there, at least for the moment. The other server is still full because I haven't moved anything else off. Currently in the process of kind of backing up the server to the external hard drives. So now that those are combined, the regular and the 4Ks are all in a single directory, alphabetized by letter, I've deleted the existing backups and I'm backing up them in that organizational tree. So this way, if I do lose the server, I won't have to kind of redo it again, especially that I'm deleting the duplicates finally now. So, if I have something in 4K, I'm essentially getting rid of the 1080 or the 720 or whatever it was that I had before that. That's an involved process. Granted, at least, with the faster networking, it is definitely helping in that direction. So instead of transferring to these external drives at like 87 to 90, I'm going more like 150 to 250. So it's taking a lot less time than backing up the other direction. But it's, we're still moving, 65 terabytes, 64 terabytes worth of data, give or take, back and forth. It takes time. Currently I'm working on G through I think. What are you? You are not telling me immediately. Pretty sure it's J through L, actually. Yeah, it should be. So that's, half, not even half. And then, so then I'm gonna have to start, doing the rest of the letters. It's gonna be a bit. But then once that's done, so then I'll have the movies on the server itself, plus I'll have their current configuration backup on an external. That'll give me confidence to then go ahead and start deleting stuff off of the main server, or the old server I should say. I'll probably still keep most of the movies on there kind of as an extra redundant backup, just in case something does hit the fan. I still have even more copies of backup, but because there's no reason for the server to sit there completely empty. And until I get more drives, I'm going to have to keep it online because I don't have anywhere or space to put like the TV shows, or I guess that's pretty much it. Basically just the TV shows and the miscellaneous, my documentaries and, my personal media, like these files, my backups for the GoPro footage and stuff like that. That's going to have to stay on the older server, at least for now, until I get some more drives in there. I could take the drives out of the server and put them in the new one, but then I'm relying on just one copy of the data on external hard drives, and I'm not comfortable with that, especially with as many of those hard drives as I've had fail recently. It's fine, I'll just run the 2 servers for now until I, feel confident in spending some more money, and then I can, get a couple more drives for the other server. And then once they are, on there and I can start moving the rest of the stuff over, then maybe I'll take the other one down and move those other drives into it to fully populate the new server. But those are months down the road, if not longer. Not super worried about it for right now. I got Plex and Jellyfin both running. Hasn't really crashed or had any significant issues. All the metadata is downloaded and updated. I've mostly gone through and cleaned up the unidentified or misidentified files. Of course, I'm sure I'll find stuff over time. It's not a perfect system, especially when you're talking about, over, was it like 600 or 6,600 and something last I knew? 6946 movies. Don't arrest me. So, yeah, that, there's bound to be some things in there. I've noticed that the Plex database scanner is like super horrible at any kind of TV movies or miniseries, so that's kind of problematic. Jellyfin's actually pretty cool because you can actually just put in the IMDb like ID number, and then it'll just pull the information right from that for anything that it can't find on its own based on the title search. So in that way, I kind of like it better. But overall, the interface definitely isn't as slick or as useful. But, that's why people suggest running both, as long as you got the memory and the horsepower to do it, and I do. So, that's about it. Like I said, I haven't really done anything with the Buttkicker content-wise. It's kind of late now, and really there wasn't much to it. Just plopped it under the couch, put the little feet on the couch, connected that cable. You saw me running the cable, at least, several videos ago. And, it's doing its thing. I like it. It's great. Definitely it makes the movies more enjoyable, especially at the lower volumes, and at the louder volumes it's even more bombastic. It's fun. So like I said, that'll end this. I know it's kind of 2 boring videos in a row, and then not a whole lot of content, just basically me shooting my screen and talking over what my data plans are. Not really sure what the plan is moving forward for content. I have the spatial audio CD. I did get Magic Beans from Joe and Tal and the Spatial Audio group, but I haven't, I've played around with the spatial CD a bit, and it sounded fine. I think my system is more or less calibrated correctly, but I can't really run Magic Beans. One, I just haven't had the time between working and everything else, and just been focusing my attention on other things. And then I really need to go ahead and upgrade to Multi-EQ X PC to really have it work a little more seamlessly and a little easier. And I really don't want to give Marantz or Sound United or Morimoto, whoever we're calling them these days, more money. So I was hoping that they typically have like a Black Friday sale or Memorial Day or July 4th sale. So far they haven't done any of that, at least for the holidays we fit. Hopefully this Black Friday, because $50 off is $50 off. I'd really rather not pay full price on it. So until I do that, it would be more difficult to run it anyway, and we haven't really watched that many movies down there where it's going to benefit. The wife truly doesn't care. She thinks it sounds just fine the way it is. So it's not a high priority. There's better things I can spend that money on, like not at all. But yep, so most of the legwork with the server is done. I do have a few directories to clean up. I haven't deduplicated U through Z yet, or the Christmas movies. Putting the 4K in and deleting everything under 4K that, of the same file type. I'll get there. I've just been wanting to get some more of the backup and cleaning out my download directory a bit, which is almost done. I only have like 7 or 8 movies left in there. And then, so probably the next couple of days while the hard drives are backing up, or, over the weekend if I feel like it, then I'll finish the deduplication process, maybe start upgrading some more of the older content. Do it in stages, do it till I get tired of it, throw some Hearthstone in there, do some other stuff around the house. Just trying to keep it fresh, and it's just been like this for years. It's like there's really a hurry. I did find my other GoPro batteries. They're just sitting in the basement like I expected them to be. So, you know, it's all good. But thanks for coming along for the ride, as sedate as it was. Like I said, not a whole lot going on this video. But, you know, it's good background and posterity for me if I ever want to look back on these. So, yay, new server. Now I just gotta put more drivers in it. And then I get to do it all over again in like 10 years when 8K finally is a thing. Haha. Alright, enjoy your theaters or whatever it is that you enjoy your media on, and you all have a good one. One more little bonus clip here. So, the data migration and alteration project is basically done. So I finally, on both servers, both the new one and the old one, took the 4K. It's fully integrated and combined into the regular directories now. So there is no more official 4K. Especially now that I'm going to be using Plex. And I also believe Jellyfin has a 4K filter anyway. It's easy enough to get to the 4K list if I'm actually worried about it. Don't really need them physically separated in directory structure at this point. And then, you know, to save space on the new server, since I'm, you know, low on drives at the moment, I had deleted anything that was a duplicate resolution that wasn't special in some way. You know, like I think I've said before, you know, sometimes the 4K is the theatrical or the regular release. And, you know, I still have one that's like a DVD resolution or a 1080 Blu-ray that's like a director's cut or unrated, that either doesn't have a 4K transfer or I don't actually have yet. So there's a few of those that I still have, you know, 2 versions or sometimes 3 versions of a film. But for the most part, anything that was duplicate, I just kept the highest resolution version. So that's actually allowed me to free up about 5 terabytes on the other server. You know, it had about 900 and change free. It's down to, you know, 5.39, but like 600 of that is stuff that's in BitTorrent again that I need to go ahead and, you know, rename, go through and migrate about. So the actual data gain was about 5 terabytes. Which is more than enough to put this stuff I've had to delete for space, you know, the extra, mostly documentaries, I believe, that I had to delete because I was literally out of room. So that's going to go back on the server, the old server, for redundancy. The new server is down to about 2.13. Again, that's not absolute because there is, you know, buffer space that's not counted in that total. So even when it's full, it's not full. I should still be able to have some space on the drives free for performance and safety and things like that. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get a drive for him pretty soon if things keep going the way they're going. Or, you know, I might have to. There's not really much I can pull off there. It basically right now is just movies. So I don't know. I don't really want to have, like, you know, A through Z, you know, on 2 different places. You know, have the one server like A through S and the other one like T through Z. That would be dumb. We'll just have to kind of see how it goes. The only thing I'm doing left is, so now I need to back up the combined directory structure, which is what's going on over there. So I'm doing Christmas now, and then I have to do U through Z, which is its own little directory. And then I'll have the current directory structure on server 1, server 2, which are both redundant, you know, so I could lose a drive and it's fine. And the external drives. So the movies will be very well protected, especially until I get, you know, a second parity disk into the other server, assuming I can actually upgrade from 5 to 6, which I think I can. I have to do some more research about how to do that and be willing to lose an extra drive of capacity, which right now I can't. But yeah, then I'll be done, and then I can actually start going through with really the only data project left, because BitTorrent's already been cleaned up once. I just have the most recent stuff to go through. That won't take me very long. And then I'll start going through all the movies again, and actually, you know, methodically, kind of, instead of just piecemealing, picking the ones, hey, I really like this movie, I should really upgrade it to Blu-ray or whatever. Now I can actually go through and everything that I care about even slightly, I'll move up from my DVD size files up to like at least 720, probably 1080, for anything that it exists at least. As far as I know, with maybe rare exception, any movie that I owned that had a Blu-ray, or sorry, a 4K Ultra HD movie version, I already have. I don't think there's anything in the collection that has a 4K release that I didn't collect yet. I could have missed a couple. You know, I don't stay on top of this like that closely. You know, you check every couple of days or whatever, things go under the radar. There's a few people that are doing like, you know, at home kind of fan based 4K AI restorations. Generally I ignore those because the TVs and the Shield and stuff kind of does its own upsampling anyway. Do I really need to dedicate more bits to somebody else's AI conversion? Not usually. There have been like a handful, like maybe 3 or 4 that I've gotten that it's a movie I really enjoy that has not yet had a 4K version, and I still have like a you know 640 by 480 DVD copy. I think 6th Day might have been one of those. So, you know, as I go through, I may selectively pick a few of those if I have a really crummy version, and it's the most obtainable one. I could go to some of those, but for the most part, I'm going to just stick with the 1080s. They look good enough, especially to my eye. Especially, you know, most of the time we're only watching them on the 65-inch bedroom TV or the 77-inch Sony in the living room. From the couch, I can't tell the difference between 1080 and 4K for the most part. Not in resolution alone. You know, that's where better audio quality and like HDR and stuff comes in. But resolution specifically, not so much. I do it for other people because, you know, the wife can tell. She doesn't really care, but she can tell. So, you know, we'll upgrade what we can to the highest we can. Honestly, like I've said before, for the most part, the ones that I go for on my legally obtained backups aren't terribly bigger than the DVD ones I have anyway. You know, back in the day, the general rule of thumb was you tried to fit it on a single CDR. So, you know, most of the 640 by 480 DVD resolution files are give or take about 700 meg. You know, some have been split up into 2 discs, or some of them are newer enough that they don't, you know, try to strictly adhere to the 700 meg limit, because who really cares? So they're, you know, a gig, 1.2, somewhere in there. And, you know, a lot of the 1080s that I go for, you know, again, especially on movies that, you know, who really cares about, you know, things that are, you know, comedy, action, adventure, you know, like your typical sitcom-y, you know, like, you know, The End, or, you know, it's like Smokey and the Bandit. Oh, I do have that in 4K. You know, just your basic, like, hey, this is a fun movie, Flight of the Navigator, you know, whatever. Don't necessarily need like, oh my god, perfect bit levels. So even those 1080s are, you know, about somewhere between 1 to 2, maybe 3 on the high end. A couple of 4, you know, 4 gig if they're like particularly long or have a lot of details. So, you know, looking at maybe a 25 to 50% increase in size for a lot of them. We're not talking like a huge difference. Sometimes, you know, if it's a movie that I actually like have a vested interest in, or that has a lot of, you know, texture and stuff, I may go with, you know, your 10 to 15 to 20 gig 1080s, especially if that's the only thing that's available. So, you know, that there are a few that will be bigger than, or significantly bigger than their lower resolution counterparts, but that's the minority. You know, I have somewhat some decent space to play with. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be everything. But, you know, we'll start. I mean, we're talking with, I said, what, like 6,000 files? You know, I think it was like 6,900 total. You know, of those, probably 1,500 or so or 4K already. So we're looking at like 5,000-ish movies. You know, of those, I don't know, maybe 40 to 50% are already 1080. So we're looking at, you know, maybe 2,000, 2,500 files that I need to download. If they're a gig each, that's 2.5 gig. That's gonna fill the one server, but it'll fit on the other server. So, you know, we'll just have to play it by ear. It's gonna take me a while to go through those files, you know, name by name, and find them, and then they have to download, and some of them aren't gonna be of the highest seed. You know, we're talking about fairly old movies at this point for the most part, and not overly popular ones, otherwise they would have already been upgraded by the studios and stuff. Some of them, a good portion, maybe 10, 15, 20%, won't even have either an upgraded version or not one that I can get my hands on, so they'll just have to stay what they are. So, you know, we'll see. We'll play it by ear and go from there. This was a longer update bonus clip than I anticipated, but, you know, it's good information. This is where we'll stop and post, because I'm basically done. This is the final setup on the server. You know, 66 and almost 67 terabytes on the one, with about 2 free. The other one's still at 92 with like 5 and 5.4 free. That's going to drop down to probably like 3 and change, 3.5, 4, somewhere in there. Once I get the rest of the stuff back on it that's been removed. And then I'll have everything back up to the externals again by tomorrow. This Christmas directory, which is what's going now, will take me through bedtime, because, you know, I'm still working mornings for the next couple of days before I switch back to evenings starting on Monday next week. And then the U through Z is like 4, almost 4.5, 3.5 terabytes. So that's probably going to be like 12 hours, so I can go tomorrow while I'm working, and then that'll all be done. Before I even do that though, so you know, because these are organized differently now, I'm actually out of space more or less on the externals. I have like 8 terabytes on that M overflow drive that is just the old media. So once I've downloaded something, I don't generally like deleting it. I figure, you know, it's good to have as a backup. We do still travel with movie drives, so, you know, I can fit 10, you know, 8 to 10, 12 movies per 4K if they're in 1080. We're looking at generally smaller hotel TVs, or if I bring my projector and portable screen, it's like 100-inch, 120, I always forget. I think it's 100. So, and, you know, we're generally traveling, we're not really paying attention to the movies, it's just kind of more background. So, you know, if I can get 10 to 20 movies, you know, in a lower resolution versus one 4K that I don't really need the extra sound and stuff on, I generally try to do that. So there are reasons to keep the lower res version, so I haven't really deleted them. I've just copied them to an external disk. They're not redundant, because if I lose them, I'm not going to cry too much about it. But I don't see the point in just deleting them either. But it is extra space that I don't really necessarily need in an online capacity. So I'm gonna have to move some files off of one of these externals to make room for U through V. I could split it up across multiple drives, but I don't really want to do that. And I would like to leave some space free as I, you know, upgrade these other files. It's going to take more space on the externals because to keep them in sync. So I kind of need space per drive where they were pretty much full before completely. So I have to move some data off to that, and that's going to take some time. So I may not actually start the last directory transfer to the externals tomorrow. It's going to depend on how quickly I can do the rest of it. I'm at the end of training now, so, you know, whereas in the beginning of training there was a lot of dead time in class, now 50 to 75% of our day is actually taking customer calls. So I can't really be over here screwing around with file transfers while I'm helping customers with their issues, whereas I could before because I was not doing anything in class. So I may, you know, have to wait till after work, which means the file transfer may not actually happen until it's Wednesday now, so it may not actually happen until actual Friday. We'll see. No rush. You know, it's already doubly redundant on the 2 servers, so it's not like it's a huge priority. But yeah, that's my story. I'm gonna go ahead and end this here. It's already way too long, and I doubt anyone's gonna watch this. Certainly not all the way. So that's just where we're at, and then I'll keep you posted as or if things change. I don't really have any major plans right now for any kind of content. Just, you know, enjoying the theater periodically, watching a movie once in a while. Last thing we saw, we just watched Avatar downstairs. The wife got me these scratch off cards for Christmas, so like we have our scratch off posters with the top 100. She also got me this set of 50 that's just individual cards, and it'll be like it has a scratchy section in the middle that's got the poster art, so you can't really tell what it is, but on the bottom it'll say like action adventure from 92 or horror from 80, you know, animated family from 99. So it's kind of fun to kind of guess at, hey, what do you think that might be, and then scratch it off and see if we got, you know, kind of close. So the one that was most recently scratched was Avatar, the first one. So we went ahead and watched that. It's a cool movie for downstairs anyway. And then the one we did after that was like Silence of the Lambs. I don't necessarily need to watch that in the basement. We may watch it on the living room. Not real sure. So that's another kind of source of, you know, what to watch rando. You know, I do have new stuff. You know, we still haven't seen things like Last Sentinel. There's you know, can't think of anything offhand. Just recently this week acquired Twisters, so that's obviously going to be a high priority. We're behind on Ghostbusters, so I haven't seen Frozen Empire. Haven't seen either of the Dunes, the new Dunes. You know, finally watched Mad Max. I think I mentioned that. That was pretty cool. Saw the new Quiet Place. We kind of moved that up the priority list. That was pretty fun. So, you know, he was trying to watch at least the movie a week, but that doesn't always happen. It depends. You know, we're nice to use the theater more, but it is what it is. Anyway, that's enough babbling out of me. I'm gonna go ahead and end this thing, and this is probably like an hour and a half to 2 hour video at this point, all said and done. Wife's almost home, about an hour or so. We'll hang out, eat some dinner, and make it a sort of early bedtime, although not early. And then, you know, I'll see you in several weeks to months as or if anything changes. You know, right now it's just a matter of trying to juggle finances and pay off the new server. They're kind of screwing her with the student loans. We're hoping her payment doesn't double, as they got rid of the save plan because our politics are crappy. But we're not panicking yet, but that will kind of throw a wrench in some of our loan repayment. Not that we're going to really struggle, it's just right now we're sending quite a bit of extra to get them paid off sooner to save us some interest. Those extra payments are going to have to slow down or stop if her loan payments go up. But again, crossing fingers, we'll just have to kind of see how it goes. But the goal is to still try to get everything paid off as quickly as possible, and you know, try to really minimize what we spend between now and then to not, you know, extend that process. So I'm not immediately planning any more lasers or, you know, my new SVS speakers or, you know, the new theater couch, any of the things I could and want to do, but definitely should not. Really, the only thing on the radar is keep an eye on the hard drive prices, and, you know, if I see a particularly good deal, nab them as they come. Or if I am desperate for space, you know, 220, 250 at a time, not the end of the world. Especially since I did just get a raise. I did bonus out this month. I keep saying I'm going to stop talking, and yet I keep going. So one thing about the job is if you have stats that are in the top, like 90%, 80%, and 70% roughly, you get a bonus. So basically you get either $1 per hour, 66 cents per hour, or 33 cents per hour added to your check for the entire month. For the hours worked in the month that you hit your stats that they want. So I did hit the top bonus, so that's like an extra 260 bucks or something that I'll get on my first check in September. So that'll be nice. That's basically a hard drive if I choose to do so. So, you know, that's really the only thing I'm going to try to spend money on. Other than that, try to just be as frugal as possible without, you know, being destitute. Still going to eat what we're going to eat and spend $300 a month to keep our house cool, because I'm in an office upstairs, probably in the worst air-conditioned spot of the house. I don't want to be overly sweaty and miserable while I'm trying to work, so pumping a little bit more into the electric bill than normal. But, you know, we have the money to be comfortable, you know, and things like that, so I'm going to take advantage. I'm not going to be cutting things to the bone just to pay off some loans a little bit faster. Anyway, bye's for real. I will catch you whenever I catch you. I don't expect to hear from me soon because there's nothing major planned, but just the point of that tangent. Anyway, bye.